This is Horns Up. I'm Animesh.
And I'm Peter. And with us are Escuela Grind. Welcome to the pod.
Hi there. Thank you. I'm Katerina, the singer.
Let's begin this episode with the basics, right? I mean, we've all read the factoids. All of you are from different parts of the United States and have actually played in different bands before. So what's the story of how all of you got together in the first place?
Yeah, so the drummer Jesse and I, so we've known each other for a long time. We're partners, and we moved from Dallas, Texas, where they're from, to Ithaca, New York, which is a pretty small college town. So there wasn't like a really big, heavy scene like we were used to going to shows all the time, and that just really wasn't there for heavy music. So we got together with like one of the only kids in town who knew what powerviolence was, and we just started writing this like improv songs really quickly. They actually were jamming, and then they asked me to do vocals on it for some time. So that early iteration of the band was for a while, and the guitarist left, and we started kind of expanding our sound a little bit, and Jesse stepped up and was doing a lot of the writing. And we met our guitarist Chrissy in Albany, New York, when we played a show there, and she was just really badass and cool. And like one way or another, we got together and we just like have this new Escuela Grind band unit, and we have a bass player now. He's a new addition this year, also from Texas too. So yeah, we've assembled the parts from all different places, like you said. But we got together, humble beginnings. It's always been a small town band, so we've never had the experience of being in the big city and being close to everything. So that's kind of seeped into the way we do things.
Interestingly, the band name itself, Escuela Grind, that kind of got our attention too, because it literally translates to what, primary school of grind or grindcore kindergarten? Was that the intention? And how did you guys end up naming yourselves that?
So when we started the band back then, we were just Escuela. That just came up because like we were just jamming and I didn't have any lyrics, and I just started screaming that over a D beat. It sounded cool, so we just it just stuck. So we were Escuela for a while, and a cover band sued us for the name, and they got all of our music taken offline, like everything.
No way.
Damn.
Yeah, all sorts of
Cover
stuff.
band did. This is
Cover bands, which is ironic, isn't it? But yeah. They just weren't budging, so we just changed our name to Escuela Grind. It was always like our Instagram name anyways, so we were just like, whatever. It's like it works. And so school of grind, grind school, whatever you want to call it.
And besides the band name, what really got us to notice you was your recently released sophomore album, Memory Theater. Now, the introduction to this particular episode is a bit different from our usual episodes because we've just gone in headlong and just basically given our audience a factual kind of an introduction to the band, but we would love to give them an oral introduction to the band. So let's give our listeners a taste of the album and a peek into what you guys are. Which song can we play right now that you think serves as the best introduction to Escuela Grind?
Ooh, it's a hard one. I'm gonna go with the song Cliffhanger. It's one of my favorite songs off the record. It was our first single. It's super fun to play live, and it like definitely encapsulates all the new genres we've put into this record, as well as grindcore and powerviolence, what we've always done. So Cliffhanger. I throw a good reference even into old school hip hop. So I think that song, it's got the right amount of groove, the right amount of blast. It's an Escuela song for sure.
Here it is. Here is Cliffhanger, and welcome to Escuela Grind.
Yes,
have to say, right, when I was trying to wrap my head around your music, I was like, it sounds like this, but it's also this. And I think the best description I read of your music is in a Kerrang article where the writer says, and I quote, they sound like they're tearing a human being apart, which I think is quite accurate, right? So, how long did it take to kind of achieve this sound, or is it still a work in progress?
Hmm. I think it's always going to be a work in progress, just because that's how we are. We're like, I guess we're not purists per se. Like, we're not trying to achieve like the most distilled version of something that already exists. We're just trying to put together all the things that we like into like songs that make sense for us and still have our character. So, yeah, I'd say it's definitely been a while to get to the point of where we're going. Um, our drummer, like I said before, Jesse, he wrote most of the guitar and drums and everything on the album except for the
Hmm.
vocals. So like their journey is more for them to share than me. I don't want to speak out of turn, but I mean, before we used to write in a totally different way, and now we write with so much more intention. And part of that is because Jesse and myself a little too. We've built a home studio and then built up the skills to be able to record ourselves and demo stuff out and hear it back and edit and and write and compose the songs the way we want to. So without that, before we were kind of just recording these improv drum tracks and then writing riffs over them. Jesse was writing riffs over them and then kind of just going with that and having it be more of a quick turnaround, less editing. So now that we're able to do that, able to record ourselves and demo and focus, we're really able to hone in exactly where we want songs to go and what elements from what influences we want to put into each song.
Okay, that's interesting. Now, let's deep dive into that a little bit more. What is the kind of sonic palette that you guys are going for? What is like if the world or Kerrang or we are describing your album in one way, is what we are saying uh the intention of how you guys want your music to be described? Like, what is the sonic template that you guys want to be known for?
I mean, we always, hold true to our classics like Napalm Death, Terrorizer, and stuff. Like we're always gonna have the roots of grindcore and what we do, and the political roots too, if we want to go that far. Um, However, I think in this era, like it would be I don't want to do a word salad of all the different
Of
genres we put
course,
in,
yeah.
but like it is kind of like that. And we've been listening to a lot of hardcore again. I grew up listening to that, and that's always been an influence for me. So I mean, it's leaning more towards that. It's not exactly an answer to your question, but
Mm-hmm.
we've always kind of had the ethos as a band to like our goal as a band is to kind of be one of those introduction bands. Like we want to get kids into extreme music. Like we want to be a band that is accessible to everyone, is not, gatekeepy in any way. And we want to be like, you know, show your cousin Escuela Grind and they might get into grindcore or what have you from it. So like, for us that was bands like Slipknot and stuff growing up, even when you're super young. Converge for me. Those all different sounding bands, but they're the access point. They're the entryway into like the underground for a lot of people. So we kind of want to do that. I know it's not a sound per se, but it definitely has a feeling.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I mean, and with a name like Escuela Grind, you have to go to school before to learn your basics.
you go.
But I have to ask you, right? And I think this is one of the things I thought may come up in the chat was the fact that you'll have your own recording space. So one of the things is, especially when you can kind of tinker and keep doing it, right? Go back and forth. How
Yeah.
long did it kind of take? Because you all did record the album with uh, Converge guitarist Kurt Ballou. So how long did it take till you finally, which version of the album was it till you finally took it to him? And how was it to kind of have someone else who's a non-band member now working on the album?
Oh gosh. Okay, so working with Kurt was like a dream come true. Like I said, Converge is a huge influence on myself, on the rest of the band, and Kurt himself and God's City Studios is
Mm.
like legend. Always known about it. I just never really thought that I would record there, you know. So that in itself was really daunting, but also exciting for us. But we didn't know that going in when we were writing the songs that we were going to record there starting out. So we started writing, I think, the first songs like right before the pandemic hit, like really right when our first full length album dropped, Indoctrination, which was like
Mm-hmm.
March. We had like one song ready to go at that point. So it just worked out that the pandemic, we were all living with each other and we were able to write over that. And instead of playing shows, we were really writing and taking that time, and just soaking in YouTube videos of live performances, you know, different festivals. We were scheduled to play Obscene Extreme that year too, and then it got postponed 2 years. So we were just like watching a bunch of Obscene Extreme videos, like imagining what it'll be like, but also getting the vibe of it so that we could write with that in mind. Like we will be playing again. This is going to be a thing. We want to know how people will move to these songs. So, like, the physical element of the songs became important to us, which was really where editing and composing came around, tinkering with the song, like you said. So with that being said, I mean, we worked on them for a while because we were stuck here, you know, with nothing else to do. But when we knew Kurt was going to be recording, we started demoing over and over again and really nailing the songs in exactly how we wanted them so that by the time we got to Kurt, at least we were confident enough to where we were pretty sure the overall structure of the song would be the same. We were sure, you know, we were comfortable playing it, and so that, you know, if little changes need to be made, or if, you know, if Kurt had something to say about something, we were able to just be like, yep, we've been working on these so long. We totally know where you're coming from. It's great to have a new set of eyes on something and ears. So it was overall such an easygoing process because he's an easygoing guy. And we had played with them before, so we'd
Mm.
been able to meet and get like the fangirl phase out. So that was great. And he's just so professional and good at what he does. It it, it was it was amazing. It was the best recording experience I've ever had. So
Super, super. Now, you guys are also a fairly young band, right? Which means the band itself has grown up in the age of streaming and in the age of music be consumed over the internet as such, which means you have a lot of listener data with you. For a young band like yours, I was kind of interested in seeing if you could help us break down your listeners and where your listeners are coming from. I mean, what kind of demographics tend to favor Escuela Grind? Like, for example, are you guys popular with females aged 18 to 49? I don't know. Like,
yeah.
help us understand or break down your listener analytics for us.
So I check in on that kind of stuff every so often. I wouldn't say I'm like diving into it every week and such, and it's so new for us. We have like a whole new group of fans now,
Mm-hmm.
from various different things. So it's different. But I will say, and this might be helpful for others out there in bands, that, you know, every platform that you put yourself out on has a different set of people that it's attracted to. So, like, for example, we're pretty much on every social media there is. The type of people that are watching us on TikTok, or the demographic of people that are on Instagram seeing us, they're two different things. So when I go on Instagram and I see like you know, our top countries are USA, India, and Mexico, like that means one thing. And then when I go into TikTok and see like, oh, there's at least half of the people watching us are females and half of the people aren't, and on Instagram it's like 85% males, 15%. It's like it's constantly changing, which is really cool.
Okay.
Still some things that hold true, like, it's mostly younger people, I would say, but that doesn't really translate live either. Because we have a lot of people that come and see us live, but the old heads are always there too, and we've played with a lot of old head bands, like so you can never predict what it's going to be. Of course, it gives you a little bit of insight, but on the small scale of what you do, like every show is different, every band you play with is going to be different, even down to the venue is different. So translating those statistics into real world stuff is kind of difficult. But for a band like us, we present a certain way. We have a certain um I guess, political bent to our lyrics that would attract different people to the music. So, like, yeah, that shows for sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Um,
On the same thought, and you just touched upon it briefly, how are people discovering your music in this day and age of streaming and live and just the whole way the
mhm.
music is being consumed? You mentioned the different social media platforms. What about stuff like just plain simple YouTube videos
Oh,
or even reviews because of the sophomore album Memory Theater and
mhm.
just the fact that it's on a big label, right? Um, Help us just understand how people are discovering your music and how the band is gaining traction. Because, hey, the very fact that two boys from Bombay, India are talking to you is just shows the reach of Memory Theater. Uh, I'm sure you wouldn't have expected that.
I have to preface this by saying that we're signed to a really amazing label. So they're able to take what we can give them and give it even more of a push and reach and use their expertise. So like it's a little different from where we started. We were a DIY band. We have been for up until now. So it's definitely a culture shock going from that to how we do things now. But the content that you can give and the content that you can make for your fans is the most important thing, no matter where it goes. So, like you said, YouTube has been huge for us, like getting out to people, and specifically the channel Hate 56.
Hmm.
Sonny is a Philadelphia-based videographer who does all these different videos of the hardcore community. He's been doing live videos for years, and I've been watching them for years. So, like, one video that goes viral with Sonny can get thousands of followers and like a
Yeah.
reach to this group of young people you didn't even like you knew they were there, but you just haven't gotten them into the show yet. So, and then that's where we retain, like, you want to pull people in with like a cool music video or a cool live shot or something even goofy like you do, and then you get them to the live show, and that's where we feel like we shine, and where we can really express ourselves the best way. So yeah, YouTube videos, um other channels, YouTube videos, collaborating, doing podcasts, doing interviews, and just the content you can create. It's always good to have something to put out, an EP or a record to work off of. So instead of just, throwing something out there and waiting for something to happen from it, that doesn't happen as much anymore. You have to make your own reality sometimes, and you can put out the best record musically, but sometimes it won't be shown to who it needs to be shown to. So, you make that record, but also make a cool video that's in line with what you do. Also, do some weird campaign where you're, I don't know, like, be creative, because it's almost always been done. So if you try and be creative, maybe you'll make something new that
So,
people can emulate.
so I have to get this off my chest, right? Because when you said Sunny and Hate 56, like I was just grinning, and
Oh,
the
but
listeners can't make out. But when you said you have to do something different, right? Everyone's
mhm.
seen the Harm's Way video, the dancing man. I mean, just look at that, like the impact that that had. And that was completely unintentional, right?
Hmm.
He was just shooting that, and the number of memes that have kind of made, I don't know how many uh, views that video has got just because of that, right? And I think there's an entire Instagram page dedicated to just him
Yeah.
doing it to different songs. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But shout out to Sunny, man. I mean, it's one thing I love is every time he puts out a tweet, because I follow him on Twitter only, is
Mhm.
there's going to be one band I'll be like, who the fuck is that? And then I'll end up like
Yeah.
listening to them and just going down the rabbit hole,
Yeah.
checking out their music on Bandcamp. So I think that's one of those things, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
It's always really cool. Like, we get to play with so many really interesting young bands. And it's like whenever, because I subscribe to Sunny's Patreon, so I see the videos early. And like whenever I see a band that we've played with come up on that, I'm like, oh, yes. I'm like, they're about to get their shine. Like, it's so exciting. We like to say a rising tide lifts all ships. And that's definitely
Yeah.
what Sunny does. That's definitely what, anyone can do for any band. Like you said, you can capture a moment that's weird or offbeat or funny, and it can do so much for you and without even intending it. So yeah, we love that. We love our chaotic world.
But one of the cool things about memory theater, and I think that's one thing I'd really enjoy about just extreme music in general, right, is the artwork. And I totally love, I mean, Animesh and I were talking about it, like, love the artwork by Andrew Tremblay. But I have to be honest, there's just so many different elements, right? It's like one of
Yeah,
those pieces of art you each time look and you're just like, hey, what's this or what's that? So can you help us break it down for us and our listeners at least?
sure. Well, the album itself, like having a physical album is special. It's like not everyone can have them. They take up a lot of space, they're expensive now. So you want to do something that is physically interesting and becomes a piece in its own. I don't want to make it too artsy for what it is, but the intention is that you would have our record and there's going to be something to look at, and it's something that you can't get from the small image on
Mm.
Spotify. So having that 12 by 12 physical record in your hand is going to be a different experience from seeing a little thumbnail online. So I wanted Andrew and we knew we wanted a lot of color because that's just something that's not done a lot in what we do. It's usually like pretty, neutral colors,
Yep.
scary image, like, Photoshop, photo scan, Xerox sort of thing. So we wanted something a little different. And what Andrew does so well is like this really cool, like graphic novel style and really good use of color. And so we met Andrew at this event that we were doing with Trauma Films, and this band Imperial Triumphant was playing. They're really badass, and they have this whole like Art
Yeah.
Deco
Mm.
mask thing that they do, and that's totally their own and amazing. But he actually designed their masks and has done art for them. So I
Mm.
have his
Okay.
book, and I was thinking with this record, lyrically and like the subject theme, like we kind of strayed away from what we were previously doing and talking about unrest and anxieties and social issues, political issues. um we always kind of talked about that from a standpoint, just talking about it. And with this album, I wanted to make it a little bit more personal and to bring it how we deal with those things, or how I personally sometimes deal with those things. um and the vehicle we kind of chose to do that with is with this architecture of the mind. So that's what memory theater is. Comes from a historical reference, but we kind of took it and expanded on it. So I knew that I wanted it to be really architectural looking, but also like body horror. And I wanted it to look like, it could be like fan art from a movie almost, but it was chaotic and still had those elements of the building because that was really important. So I kind of just conveyed some examples to him and a set of colors that we really liked, and just told him to go for it and do as much as possible. And that's what came out. And we love it. I think it's really cool. It's like one of those I Spy books from the 90s. Someone said it
Mm-hmm.
was like that, a blacklight poster, sort of. We're stuck So like it's kind of like that's totally in our wheelhouse. So yeah, I love it. I love the art. I think he's so talented, and I hope people are checking out his Instagram and stuff and seeing what he can produce because the art is so important, like for what we do and for extreme music. And and I want people to see the talent that's there. So yeah.
Awesome. I'm glad you kind of broke that down for us, but it's time for another song from Memory Theater. Which track would you like us to play now?
So since I was just talking about the music and the art and where that came from and the idea, the memory theater being this infinitely expanding internal room, something that like you're creating, but it's conscious, unconscious, it's all these things put together. So I think the best track to go along with that is actually Memory Theater, the last track. It sort of gets to that really personal space of mind of like building this room, this internal room. So Memory Theater it is.
Alrighty, here it
Awesome.
is.
Another thing I read in a previous interview that you did is you described your shows, and I quote, we don't take ourselves too seriously or put on a front with Escuela Grind. So shows are like a party, but with a mental safe space. It's insanely therapeutic. And when I read that, it kind of completely linked with the few live sets that I saw on YouTube, right? Because it kind of just explains that quite well. But for those who haven't seen any of these live sets on YouTube or haven't seen you live, how would you describe the shows?
Well, I'm always moving live, like always moving. I don't know if it's like, I don't know why, but it's just something I cannot stand still when we're performing. And so we go through a pretty big block of songs in a short amount of time. So we like to keep things pretty quick. No one likes standing without without any breaks for too long. So we try and be as friendly to that as possible. But we've really structured our set and our songs in general just based on how people will move. So I'm always encouraging people to move. I'm always encouraging people to give space for people to move. But like you never have to feel like you have to dance a certain way or have to be a certain way at our show. And I think that's really important to me because I never well, not never, but I didn't always feel welcome in the scene when I was growing up in hardcore music because I mean I'm a really small person. I'm 4'11". Like I'm not intimidating when I'm throwing punches and stuff. I don't think so. Like crowd killing isn't a thing for me. So yeah, I mean, I guess the best way to explain it is how I said, it's therapeutic and that it's an outlet and that we always try to be encouraging, but it's also aggressive. So like we we want you to let that type of emotion out too. Um, and we're just dancing in whatever way feels you. I mean, I don't always headbang and stuff. I'm sometimes throwing some weird dance moves and stuff and Vogue and whatever feels right. And yeah, sometimes I'm smiling when I'm performing. Sometimes I'm spinning and angry and gnarling, but it's 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 always energy and it's always cranked up to 11, I guess you can say.
I think that's also a pretty good representation, and definitely when you're out on the road next, another reason to catch you all at the gig. But talking about the road, and I was actually looking this up, you've spent most of this year touring. So,
Yeah.
what's it like to be back at home doing mundane things in life, also in general?
Oh, it's definitely weird because we basically spent um from the beginning of May until like
Hmm.
a half ago out on the road, like you said. So it's weird being home. I took a sabbatical from my job to tour and stuff, so I'm like really not doing as much as I used to do when I was home. But it's nice. We have animals. I'm sure you've heard them hooting back there and barking. But yeah. So it's nice to be home. But I love we love being on the road. I personally really love being on the road. Yeah, we were so lucky in that we just always had a tour one after the other this year, and we did our first tour in Europe. So it was amazing. It was like so many new things. We met so many new fans. Um, it's just the best feeling. And when we go out on tour, like I'm doing merch at the table the entire night, meeting new people, doing performance, hanging out. Like it's just the best feeling for me to meet like-minded people. And like what about like it's the best way to do it. So I mean, we tour in a van. It's nothing super special, but we're grateful and lucky to have a reliable one right now. Um, but yeah, we really like to do like dumb touristy shit when we're out. We always try and like make overnight drives just so that we can get to the next town early and do something when we're there. So like Europe was really difficult for us because we were making the drive and then we wanted to really see everything because it was our first time there. So like we were really, really pushing it some days, like nonstop, just doing everything we could do nonstop. So, I mean, and it's our only way that we get to go out and like see things. Like we don't get to take vacations anymore and stuff like
Hmm.
that. And if we ever did before, this is our way to have fun and see the world and we're grateful and we're blessed to have it. It's like you can never take that for granted, and maybe a lot of us did, and we realized it during the pandemic. But now I'm not taking anything for granted anymore. We're gonna do everything we can do when we're out on the road and meet everyone we can meet.
Okay. Now that enthusiasm, I'm sure, has filtered down to all our listeners. And your website actually surprisingly has only few shows listed. I mean, there's one next month and the next two are like next year. So when do you hit the road next?
We have some regional stuff for the rest of the year. Lots of stuff I can't say yet, but next year we are really intending to be out on the road like all the time. Um, so I can't say too much, but we've got a lot of stuff. We just announced Decibel Metal and Beer Fest here in the
Mm-hmm.
States. Really cool festival. There's like a lot of bands doing like 25-year anniversary playing this album entirely through and stuff like that. So we're getting on more festivals like that now, and those are really cool to be a part of. And we intend to go back to Europe next year around Venezia Hardcore Fest and doing a longer, more extensive tour through there. So we know that's going to be early summer. And lots of other stuff I can't talk about, which I really want to like. But we will be hitting the ground hard. Definitely all the United States, definitely Europe, and we hope to make some other big journeys soon too. It's been long
Alrighty.
overdue. Come over to Southeast Asia. We definitely want to, if we can make that happen. I don't know if it's going to be next year, but we've been dying to get out and um, tour over there in South America too. We've never been to play shows, so we're just trying to do everything we can do, but there's only so much time.
Yeah, there's only so much time. And I think that pretty much segues right into our final question, which is about the sheer amount of hard work that you guys are putting into each and every facet of what makes Escuela Grind come to life, whether it be the music, whether it be the artwork, the videos, your live sets, your website, the merch. There's just so much going on with each and every element. It really shows the amount of effort that you guys are putting into it. And really, the only question we have is what makes all of it worth this effort? Because there's so much of love that goes into it. Yes, it's being seen. Is that what makes all of it worth it?
I know everyone would have a different answer for this, so I can only speak from my
Mm-hmm.
perspective. Really. But I mean, yes, being seen is one thing that, we strive for, and certain people more than others because we grew up overlooked or what have you. So that's always important. It's always important to be a role model to people. However, it's not everything. It's not why people make music. There's plenty of people that make music and are totally happy never showing it to anybody. And I certainly do that a lot too. So there's something really essential and more to that maybe I haven't found the right words to express yet in my life, but maybe one day I will. Anyways, I guess what makes it worth it, yeah, it's a lot of work and effort, but you know, like you said, being seen, being a role model, helping people is important, but also being able to just express yourself in the purest way. Sometimes words fail us. Sometimes, you're not physically capable of making the art or movement that you want to make. So this form that we have, music, is so elusive, and it's so it's so important to me to be able to express the things that I have a very hard time expressing in any other way. It's kind of a cop out of an answer, but I mean it's really like that for me. I have a very specific set of skills, and this is the best way that I've found to say what I want to say, be who I want to be, inform who I want to inform, like, and it lives on forever. like without you too. So I guess there's that kind of legacy. I don't know what's my legacy aspect of it. That's put into a grindcore record maybe, but it's true. The art you make lives on forever, and there's consequences to that, and good and bad, and neither nor. So I just want to keep creating, keep expressing, and keep inspiring. I hope.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. On that note, Katrina, yeah, all we have to say is just keep doing what you guys are doing because you guys are clearly doing something right.
Oh, thanks so much. That means a lot, and it means a lot to speak with you today. Like we're so separate physically, but it's really, really cool that like our music is there and we have a lot in common, it seems. So that's really it's just badass. Thank you.
No, thank you. I hope this was worth your time.
Absolutely, dude.
Alrighty, so that was Katerina from Escuela Grind. Do check them out if you haven't already, because clearly, and mark our words, this is a band that we think definitely you'll be hearing a lot more about. And while you do that, you can let us know what you thought about them. We are at honsupod.com or on Twitter at honsupod. As always, you can reach out on Twitter with me. I'm at Asmawani.
I'm a Trend Crusher.
And this was Horns Up.
Horns up, everyone.